and awaken within the dream. Awaken within the dream. Art, spirituality, healing, evolution, embodiment, Mama Gaia, remembering our origins and also what we're capable of. These are all the conversations that I love having, and I especially love having them with you, David.
Great, likewise.
David is a friend of mine. He's an elder, he's a mentor. I think of you, David, as a medium for Gaian intelligence, and not just Gaian intelligence, but cosmic intelligence. And I think of you as a person who is an adept, really a master of learning how to tune into the subtle energies that are being presented to us, that you may bring the most beautiful illumination and revelation to us as a species, us as a cosmic and human family, so that we can really wake up to who we really are and what we're here to do.
That's
And
right.
so that's who you are to me. And
Cool.
I just wanted to share that I love your bio. I capture, you say, I capture the vibrational codes of nature. I infuse them into images. They only look like art. I learned to create this way, not in any school, but by immersing myself in the beauty, codes, and energies of nature. This understanding awakened when my late wife, Bonnie Bell, and I lived for a decade on an extraordinary rural property in Northern California. In the early 1990s, we followed an inner calling to leave a path, seeking enlightenment in a spiritual community, to pursue deep communion with with the earth as living goddess. We went from guru to Gaia. And I'll let you go check out David's website to read more about it. But I just wanted to highlight going from the spiritual community to spiritually communing,
Right.
guru to Gaia.
Yeah.
What do you want to say about that?
It's funny. I haven't read that about page lately, but it's very good.
It is really good. I
I
like
stand by what it says.
yeah, right? And the first person, you're just like, I am this. This is
Yeah.
me.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was a big transition in our lives and in our worldview. Um, we had been involved in, I had been involved in two different spiritual communities for a span of about 20 years, more than 20 years. And there was a focus in that community, which is about God, kind of up there, and Guru, which was this human form right there. And I was drawn to that because my heart was calling me to it. It felt like a deep kind of past life calling to go on that path of enlightenment. I followed a teacher who's had all these amazing experiences himself, and I was like, I want to have those experiences. And even before I got involved, I started, I took psychedelics as a teenager. So I had some pretty profound experiences, and it was like, okay, how do I do this without the drugs? So that led me on my spiritual journey. But I felt like in that community with my teacher, I actually kind of got what I came for. And I connected with Bonnie towards the end of my time there. We weren't in a relationship until the last year or two. And, as we began to just kind of check in with each other, she kind of felt the same way. Like, okay, what's next? There was this sense in us that, yes, we understood that transcendental identity that is sort of the goal of the spiritual path. But we found that there was something more that we were being called to.
Mm.
And it led us through this process of starting to get inner guidance. So we started going inside rather than looking for guidance from a teacher outside. We began to work with healing technologies, energy healing, and doing a massive amount of healing for ourselves. And through that process, we got the message at some point that we should focus on Gaia, that the earth was now going to be our principal guide, and we were told that in order to move forward on the path that we were entering into, we needed to let go of all of our other spiritual concepts and even identities.
Mm.
It was a big kind of reset, energetically, psychologically, spiritually. Our whole worldview changed, and we began to go into this space of novelty, right? It was like things were happening. We were understanding things. We were experiencing things that didn't fit into the previous paradigm.
Mm.
And, we would talk to our friends who had also left that spiritual community, but they were still in that paradigm. And we would tell them about these amazing experiences we were having, these downloads we were getting, and these healings we were going. And they would kind of go, oh, what's this?
Mm.
So they didn't quite get it, and we didn't quite get it. So Bonnie had the inspiration to start creating some collages. And she said, gee, maybe if we can create some images that will reflect back to us this new understanding of what's happening to us, literally, it'll be a way of informing, our consciousness.
Mhm.
So she started cutting up pictures and magazines and catalogs. And what she found was that she was creating these figures that showed multidimensionality, right? Our beingness is not limited to what we see and experience in this plane. It's connected to very high cosmic levels of being, but that the evolutionary path that we were starting to find ourselves on was about the marriage of those two,
Mm.
about bringing those higher cosmic dimensional aspects of being down into embodiment
Mm.
and to literally marry the earth.
Mm.
So that became our path. That became our process. And through that, we were guided to move. We were living in West Marin at the time. We were guided to move to that property that you mentioned, that was mentioned in that bio. And it was an amazing place. It was a really powerful earth energy place.
Mm.
There was this massive rock formation that's in the photograph on that bio. And it was like this huge portal. We'd gotten the message that we should find a portal and that we should live near a portal. And so we went to, first, before we found this place, we went to Hawaii and connected to some portals there. We went to Sedona, connected to some portals there. And the last day we were in Sedona, we got the message to go back, to stay in Northern California, but to move to an area that was north of us. And that's where we found that property.
Mm.
So once we moved there, it was just like we were in another world. Literally, people would come and visit us and go, "This is another world.
Yeah.
this is not this is not your mother's earth."
Right.
But it was just really alive with energy and information, and we lived there for 11 years, just living in daily conversation with the trees, the rocks, the animals, and Gaia,
Mm.
and the cosmic beings that would show up there to inform us.
Yeah.
So just to kind of finish the story part here is that Bonnie kept making more collages, and we started taking photographs. I started taking photographs with like a, a point and shoot film camera. This was the 90s, right? Pre-digital. And so she started cutting up the photographs and making collages out of them. And at one point, she wanted to do a collage, and she wanted to use this photograph as a background for the collage.
Mm.
So, we would just take the photos to the drugstore and get prints back from the drugstore. And we were cutting them up. And I said, I had just gotten a scanner, a really early 300 DPI scanner. I'd just gotten an early version of Photoshop. And I said, well, let me scan this into Photoshop and
Mhm.
maybe print it out bigger. But when I put it into Photoshop, I realized, oh, if I take that photograph and if I, in Photoshop, double it into a symmetry, it'll be a more symmetrical background for the collage.
Mm.
So I started doing that, and then I said, "Wait a minute, if I take those 2 pieces and I double them again, and I kind of flip it down, you get 4 pieces in this more circular full symmetry."
Mm.
And so I just started taking all of my photographs, scanning them into the computer, and making these symmetrical forms out of it. And pretty early on, we looked at one and said, "That's a mandala." We didn't really have a consciousness or an orientation to what we were doing. It was totally a process of just discovery.
Mm.
We would walk this land, we would find this amazing rock or tree, I would photograph it, we would take it back, and it would become a series of mandalas.
Mm.
And then we started sharing those mandalas with some friends, and they were going, "Wow, I'm feeling something from this. I feel like my brain is being balanced. I feel like there's healing energy coming to me." So we understood that we were able to capture the healing energies and information in that place and literally encode them into these mandalas,
Mm.
and that they would have an impact on people. And we realized, oh, we can connect people to these energies all around the world because the internet was just emerging at that time. We started putting the art online, and a friend connected us to a publisher who wanted to start publishing what we were creating. So that started a 15-year publication cycle with 2 different publishers. And we published a book, we published a deck, we published note cards, and 15 years of wall calendars.
Wow. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
There's so many things I could pick up on. One, the first thing that I thought of is just what a beautiful literal metaphor of really the end of the Piscean era,
Hmm.
right? Like
Yes.
external spiritual authority,
Right.
and the beginning of the Aquarian, which is it's all inside of us. We all have our own way of connecting to our divinity, but specific to what we've been going through with Uranus and Taurus, which is Gaia,
Right.
which is the mama
Yes.
Earth.
Right.
She gives us everything that we need to live a good life and to teach us about ourselves and the cosmos and our relationships. So I just
Yes.
wanted to highlight that
Yeah.
as a bridge carrier, which we are, right? We're living at the time where we're bridging these two eras, really.
Right.
How gorgeous that is. And that, Gaia was the one, the earth was the one to sort of beckon you, to call you, to bring you into this work. Incredible.
And what we discovered was, Bonnie was a double Taurus. She was very drawn to beauty, and I was very drawn to the beauty of the earth. And it was like the code, the transmission, literally of beauty is what has guided, the work I do.
Mm.
So I go to a place and I'm just looking around and going, what strikes me here? What's the most beautiful object or tree or flower in this garden or, you
Yeah.
know, mountain in this vista?
Mm.
So, we understood that Gaia speaks to us through beauty.
Yes.
Literally, that's the way to start that conversation is, what are you seeing? What are you smelling? What are you hearing?
Yeah.
And that's the way that, humanity has always had that relationship to Gaia.
Yeah.
We have lost it in our technological civilization.
Yeah.
So for us, it was like this big kind of, and it was a big return to that coming from just kind of normal life, but also the spiritual path, the spiritual living in an ashram. It's like you're not focused on the earth, you're not focused on the body, you're not focused on the world of matter, you're focused on, some other sort of transcendent level of being.
Hmm.
And so what happens when the transcendent meets the immanent, meets the manifest, meets the beauty codes of nature, to us, that was a really powerful alchemy.
Hmm. Oh, 100%. I love it. One of my favorite quotes is everything bows to true beauty.
Mm,
And I just am gonna highlight and fist bump the that the beauty is the gateway to our our own perspective of divine.
Yeah, it is.
Greg Braden talks about living, like, where do I live? Astrocartography, and like, where am
Yeah,
I
yeah.
supposed to be and where on the planet? And one of the things that he said that I love so much is he goes, well, I chose to live where I live because it's the most beautiful place I've ever been.
Right.
And he says, when I'm surrounded by that beauty, it feeds my soul on this deep level that nothing else could. And paying attention to feeding our spirit bellies
Right.
through the beautiful world is so crucial.
It is.
I feel like we don't
It's
think about that. And I just want to also say that, yeah, the last 100 years, especially in the US, but
mhm.
just modern architecture is
Oh,
just so ugly,
it's gross.
with the billboards and the squat little buildings, and it's all, it's like the architecture. And I haven't been to Europe really. I've been just a little bit, but I haven't been
Yeah,
able to describe, to explore it. But
yeah.
that sense of like where we live is also infused with beauty. What we do and how we build things is informed by beauty. And you're right, we've totally been blind to that. We've lost an aspect of that in our world.
Well, one of Bonnie's favorite quotes was, "Beauty will save the world." I think it was Dostoevsky who said that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that, I've seen several videos online on YouTube where people are showing, like, architecture in the 1800s and architecture in the 20th century. It's like,
Right. Yeah.
"Holy what happened here?"
Totally. Same with vehicles,
Yes.
like where, like the physicality of our world, we've just sort of.
Yeah. It's more and more, you know, dominated by a machine kind of consciousness.
Right. Yeah.
And we understood early on that the earth, nature, and the art that we were creating was an antidote to that
Yeah.
distorted version of civilization that we find ourselves living
Yeah. Yeah. The antidote is important. So,
in.
yeah, like when did you realize or come to the awareness that the art, because it sounds like the whole journey that you were having, you were informed that your art was a spiritual channel. Did you know that from the very first moment?
It took a minute, but it didn't take long.
Yeah.
It was like we were already connecting with the energies of that property,
Yeah.
and we would find a rock, this huge natural crystals there, and we would kind of sit with that, and we would feel like this infusion in our bodies.
Yeah.
And so we said, okay, what is this? Feels like energy, but it also feels like information.
Right.
And so we got the name Seed Song as a
Yeah.
way of
Seed song.
describing what we were receiving
Hmm.
from the land. We used got that word seed song to describe the energy and information that we were getting from nature, from the rocks, from the trees.
Right.
And we said, okay, well, how can we share this seed songs with other people? Well,
Hmm.
Bonnie had started blending essential oils. She just loved essential oils and the smell and the energy. And
Oh
so
yeah.
she started making some blends of essential oils,
Mhm.
and we would name them and put the intention into the seed songs that we were getting from the land people could connect with through the oil. So again, it's just another form of beauty, right? The blends always smelled amazing. So you
Mhm.
put the blend on you, just a drop or two, and you would start to feel that energy and information and support of nature coming into your body.
Yeah.
So that happened before we started creating any of the mandalas.
Mm.
And then as we started creating these mandalas, we said, "Oh, these can be a medium of transmitting the seed songs along with the oils."
Mhm.
And the first thing that we published was a deck that was very alchemically designed, and Bonnie created oil blends that we then kind of expressed in the art and in the
Mm.
technology of the deck. So the
Mm.
oils actually came before the images
Amazing.
and informed us. I remember when we were first creating the collages and other art, and we had a friend come visit us. And again, she was kind of from our spiritual community, had that orientation. We were trying to tell her about the evolution and planetary shifts and all this stuff. And she said, "Well, when you talk to me about it, I don't really understand it, but when I look at the art, I get it."
Yeah.
And we put this into our communications. We would say the image is the answer
Hmm.
because it does communicate to us beyond the mind,
Yeah.
prior to the mind. Our bodies respond, our brains interact with symmetrical images in a certain way,
Hmm.
and our souls connect to information that our minds can't grasp, right?
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite things about the power of the image. And I know you
Yes,
had this brilliant quote about images, and I'll get to it in a minute. But basically, the picture says a thousand words, and it
yes,
also speaks straight to our, symbols, and it
yes.
speaks straight to our subconscious. We don't have to know. We don't have to like
Nope,
understand it.
no.
We just allow.
Yeah,
Um,
when we got into that, we got into, like, in the Gaia Star Codex, that's the deck we created. There's the cards are kind of in suits the way you would see in a tarot deck,
hmm,
but there's a progression through each suit of different geometries.
mhm,
Like, one image is based on a geometry of 4, the next one has 5, the next one has 6, then
yeah,
7, 9, and 12.
yeah,
So, different shapes, different sacred geometric forms,
right.
they communicate to us at a deep level that
Mhm,
our minds might not grasp,
mhm.
but we're not just our minds, right?
Right.
We're very multidimensional. So we found that, oh, we should use geometries and numerology and
Yeah.
colors as its own language in the art.
Mhm. Yes. So good. I just love how, your partnership with her seemed to fortify your and galvanize your projects and your diving into this art. And also just the courage that it takes to continue to create this and trust what you're creating. Were there times when you were like, I don't know what this is all about, and I don't know. Like, were there moments of doubt when you were like, what am I doing?
Absolutely. Especially when it was like, oh, how do we make a living doing this, you know?
Right. How does it
And,
translate into
you
a
know,
job? Yeah.
we that was always a challenge because we understood that the information, the energy that we were kind of channeling through the art was really, yes, it's coming from nature, but it's coming also from the future.
Hmm. Where did you
And
get that idea? How did that come to you?
we just, well, we began to be guided to kind of do some time travel. We would go into the future in
Oh,
our
of course, darling. Yes, that's all we had to do. We just had to time travel into the future, and then we understood. I love you. We were guided to do some time travel. You're
we
the
were guided to travel into the future because we wanted to know this was like in the 90s,
oh
and
my
there was a
god,
lot of
you're the
people were
best.
talking about 2012 and what was going to happen in
Right, right,
2012 and the
right.
planetary shift. So we said, well, we want to feel what that's like on the other side of that shift.
Well, that's a good episode for later.
Yeah.
The access to the time travel.
And we also connected with deep time in the past.
Mm,
And we understood that part of what we were manifesting as this art form technology was a lost technology.
mm,
And
right.
we were connecting with our own past and our planetary past
Yeah.
and somehow recapturing this energy, light, vibrational technology.
Hmm.
So, using a technology from the past to encode the energy and information of the future.
Mm.
And so,
Actually, darling.
because it was from the future, not everybody's ready to rock it, right?
Yeah.
When we produced the deck and the publishers loved it, and then they would give it to their salespeople to
And they
take it
were
into
like,
the stores and sell it, and they're going like, "What is this?" this is
Totally.
not a tarot deck.
Right. Like, what do we
And
do?
that's all they knew how to sell was tarot decks, that's what the market was ready for.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a challenge to, you know, be kind of downloading the future. I feel like it's taken people time to kinda catch up,
Hmm.
but I feel that right now with Pluto going into Aquarius, that it's like, "Okay, green lights,"
Yeah.
um, there's gonna be a new wave of connection
Oh my
and
God, 100%. I just saw a vision of like tapestries of your mandalas in like daycares and preschools
cool,
because
yeah,
you know the young ones, the really young ones,
right,
they're so porous. They're our elders, right? They just came from the cosmic everything, and the more that we give them access and tools to that remembering, the better.
yeah, yeah,
I
that's
mean,
that we've understood that from the start,
from the start, yeah. There's
yeah.
so many practical applications that I start seeing in my mind, and I'm like, oh shit, let's get this to everybody.
We had this woman who I don't know how she contacted us, I guess from our website or something,
Yeah,
and she was, a very spiritual person, but she worked in this clinic for,
yeah.
like, abused children.
Mm.
Like, family clinic, kids were coming in with out of really difficult circumstances, and she asked us to take a bunch of mandalas and create some moving animated videos of the mandalas that they
Nice.
could play on this TV in
Yes.
the waiting room.
While it's happening. Oh, I love that.
It was very cool.
Well, and also, coming into this Pluto and Aquarius, this new era, I see so much practical application for this particular art in like, because they are starting finally, we are starting to create like true healing centers, like hospitals,
Right.
right? Are just like
Yes.
start
Yeah.
and
The
all the things
worst.
we already know about it. But there are some integrated healing centers where there's
Yes.
sound and there's imagery and right, like this kind of place where we're actually attending to the wellness of a being from a subtle energy level. And I'm
Right.
so curious about, how that works and how it's, the correlation between that and art. Because
Yeah.
I'm deeply fascinated on all these different levels, but I think something that you have such a grasp on is really infusing the wellness on a subtle energy level with artwork you know
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've understood that for a long time. There are pieces of our art and healing centers, and many of the people who've bought the art over the years have been healers themselves
right
and wanted to have it in their spaces where they meet with their clients.
yeah
Um, yeah, art for healers has been
yeah
a theme
yeah
from the
so
beginning.
when did you so when did you recognize, I mean, I hear the story of like you and Bonnie went to the future and you visited that realm and also the past, but like I'm just so curious, like how did you get to that point where you recognized that what was coming through you was really healing codes from great spirit? Like can you just touch on that a little bit?
Well, it mostly came through just having, people sit with the art
Right,
and
through the
experience it.
exposure, yeah, got
Through
it.
experience, through my experience, through our experience, through other people's experience,
Yeah.
just kinda got reinforced and confirmed over and over that, the art was having an impact. So
Mm,
what's happened in the last few years is that I've created more of a system, a systematic way
mhm,
of creating art and then using the art for a whole variety of healing and spiritual transformations.
yeah,
So, when we kind of went from Guru to Gaia, we also started to learn some basic energy healing techniques. And then through my guidance, I've evolved my own healing program and process.
mhm,
And now I've created art tools that activate the same kind of healing processes that I would do energetically in a healing session with people.
oh, I love
So
that.
it's become much more of not just beautiful art on the wall. There's you know, a whole system now
Yeah.
where every kind of physical issue and emotional, mental, spiritual, evolutionary process has been encoded into specific art
Yes.
tools.
Oh, amazing. Art as a tool for healing.
Yes.
Art as a vehicle for illumination and healing trauma and physical ailments. And I just feel like we're finally starting to break through
Yeah.
as a consciousness, as a human consciousness into this
Yes.
awareness that this has been here all along.
Right.
This is how
And,
it's designed. It's not
part of what
new.
part of what Bonnie and I did in that spiritual community is we got exposed to a lot of traditional spiritual art.
Right.
And even after we left and started creating art ourselves, we were buying books on, Tibetan
Yeah.
healing systems, and
Right.
we understood that what we were doing was grounded in many different traditions.
Yes.
Everything from, India and Tibet to the Navajo and the
Mhm.
Aborigines, it art has always been a healing medium on
Yes.
the planet
I agree.
until it kinda got distorted in the last few 100 years and it
Well, I
became
think it got
about
hijacked, right?
well,
I
it got
feel
hijacked
it got
by
hijacked. Something came in
yes,
and started steering it in a particular direction. And unfortunately, we were all a little too distracted to be able to really recognize. I mean, I feel the same way, especially about music.
oh, absolutely.
You know, you walk into a grocery store and the music that they're playing, especially if it's popular, if it's pop music, like today's current stuff,
Yeah,
it's just like devastating. It's like a stab to my heart. And so I
yes.
feel like a lot of art is kind of in that too. Even like the fancy, modern art, like people going to the schools of art. Did you hear about the guy who duct taped a banana to the wall and
Yes,
sold it for like a million something dollars?
I know, it's such
What
a
is even happening?
it's such a distortion. I read an article the other day about this big art event, that happens in Paris called Art Basel, I think it's called.
Okay.
It's like all the biggest galleries come together and, they have booths and, it was all just that kind of purely conceptual,
Right.
uh, so divorced from what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Right.
And yet there's a big, spectrum of the art world that just is that.
Right.
It's no longer about beauty or uplifting our spirits or healing our souls.
Well, we're translating the ineffable experience of being in love, right? Or being
Right.
moved by, like you said, by beauty. I totally agree
Yes.
with you. And I
Yeah.
think that what you're working on and what you've been up to is such a beautiful marriage of like it's scientific in a way, right? Because
It is.
you got the numbers, you got the geometry, you've got the mirrored images, right? It's like sciency, but
It's very
it's based in Gaia. It's based on our planet. It's based in that harmonization. I just think it's fascinating.
yeah, we understood that there was that kind of marriage of technology. I mean, even the art we create, I couldn't do it without a scanner and Photoshop, and now
Right.
using the
Yeah.
camera, right? It
It's
couldn't have
from the
happened
technological
2
age.
years
Yeah.
before we got that equipment. I couldn't have created
Totally.
this art.
Yeah.
And yet, it's using that technology to actually reconnect people to the natural world,
Yeah.
and it's a great thing to be doing, right?
I
Because
agree.
we
Yeah.
need it, and technology has made it possible to duplicate the art and,
Hmm.
first through printing, but now through digital, distribution.
Right.
You can literally I can create a mandala today, and it can be available to every person on the planet tomorrow.
Yes. Yes. And I
Just
pray that it may be so after you watch this interview. Go get your copies.
That's right.
Bust down the doors of the publishers and say, "We want David Sun Todd's art."
Right on.
Well, and I just have to draw another parallel, which I love, which is you're an Aquarius and
Right.
Bonnie was a Taurus.
That's right.
So right, like science, like because my favorite things about Aquarius, the themes of Aquarius is like it's very analytical. It's got the science base. It's super brainy. It's into tech, right? But it's also ruled by Uranus, which is like new, shocking,
Yep.
different, weird. It's like avant garde. It's shit that you wouldn't think about.
Yeah,
and then that blended with Taurus, which is the five senses, and so, the lusciousness of
yeah,
our mama Gaia, as well as just our own physical, human physicality of how we perceive the world.
exactly.
And Uranus is in Taurus, and it's going to move this year, but
Yeah,
it's been in that placement, I think really helping to show us and guide us and awaken us to our own connection to the planet, our own connection to
yes,
planetary beauty, as well
yes,
as how to live in harmony with her and how to like
right.
get into that space. How do you see your art facilitating some of that?
Well, I think, what you're saying about the marriage of Aquarius and Taurus is
Mm,
very much what got activated in us when we got together.
yeah,
And, that Uranian tapping into the future,
yeah,
bringing the new into the present, it's been there my whole life. I was thinking about my childhood recently, and I would have these dreams, maybe when I was like 6 or 7. I remember in the dream, I would be in my house and I would feel this excitement, like I've got to run outside and look at the sky. And I would run outside and look at the sky, and there were like planets this big in the sky. And I'm going, holy crap, something's happening here. The
mm,
planet is changing.
yeah,
So I was tuned into that new world coming, um, understanding even as a child.
yeah,
And so, and then kind of landing on that property and getting really connected to the earth right now.
yeah,
It's like, how do we bridge that into the present?
yeah,
And I began to understand that, there's a kind of feedback loop that when we can connect to the future, and not the dystopian future, but the true timeline that of evolution, when we connect and bring that energy of the future and even connect to our future selves, right? We bring the future into the present, it then guides us into creating that future.
yeah.
And it's a feedback loop, and it also helps us let go of the past,
Mm,
whatever that's burdened, in our systems, whatever's holding us into what needs to change.
yeah.
The energy of the future helps release the energy of the past
Mhm.
from our present. And therefore, it changes the future that we're able to envision and experience going forward.
Yeah. Mm, so beautiful. And, art as a tool for healing, art as a tool for accessing um, our higher self, our future self, however that, shows up for people. Because a lot of people,
Right?
again, the Aquarian era is like
It is
we all get to access our divinity in whatever way we access it, right?
completely unique.
There's no more middleman.
No, no more middleman.
We're cutting
And
out the middleman.
that was the big, yeah, I'm glad you said that because that was such a big shift for us, right? The
Mm,
guru was always the middleman. The
right.
guru, the priest, the church, the organization, the teaching.
Yeah.
And we said, nope, we want to have a direct connection.
Yeah.
And that's a big shift, right?
It is.
And you asked about doubt earlier. You're going into unknown territory. That's why I used the word novelty. It's like, ooh, where are we?
Right.
What is this?
Right.
Because we've been so entrained as human beings to look to outside authority
Yeah.
and for there to be a middleman.
Right.
Can't get to heaven without somebody in between you and where you want to go.
Mhm.
So it's a big growing up for humanity as a whole
Yeah.
to step into our own sovereignty, our own connection, our own identity, our own divine
Mhm.
consciousness,
Yeah.
and to step out of dependency because wherever there's dependency, there's going to be control. There's going to be manipulation. There's going to
Right.
be agendas that are not really ours.
Right.
And that's why so many spiritual groups end up being cults, and
Mm,
so many political movements end up being cults
mhm.
because we're looking for the answers outside, we're looking for an authority, we're looking to be led instead of leading.
Right.
And this is an age where we all need to lead. We need to be leading our own lives and
Yeah.
leading the transformation on the planet.
Yeah. Which is terrifying because most people don't want to take that much responsibility. It's a lot.
Yeah, well, it's called growing up,
Yeah. It's a lot.
adulting.
Yeah. It's a lot to wake up and realize that, you got to take responsibility for your creation. Side
Yeah,
tangent.
well, there's, you can say you gotta take responsibility, and that seems kind of heavy, but there's also it's what we're meant to do. There's
Right.
actually an excitement
Yeah,
about
we
it,
get
like
to.
a joy that
Yeah.
comes from
Yeah.
being guided by your own heart.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, why didn't I do this before?
Right. No, I completely agree. And I just have a side tangent question that isn't quite about art, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure art is involved, which is I just want to know, do you feel like there is a kind of governance for humans and communities and groups that doesn't lead to corruption? Like is there an actual way for us all to be divinely guided and also practically guided by one another in a sense that doesn't eventually lead to corruption? Do you believe that that's possible?
Well, you know, I think that it depends on our own individual growth, that
Hmm.
we can't really come together in community and in group forms until we have individually evolved beyond our own limitations.
Hmm.
And I feel that, there is a way, there have been influences on the planet that have guided humanity into a certain kind of way of being and even a certain kind of identity.
Hmm.
And so, what I do, what I'm developing now with the tools is to give people the tools that they can liberate themselves from those old identities.
Right.
And when we do that, then we are returning to who we really are,
Hmm.
who we were before these influences entered into our world.
Hmm.
And from that place, yes, there are natural ways of being and relating that we will express from that true place of identity.
Got it.
But if we're
So,
trying to create from this false identity and we create a community or a organization, a tribe, it's gonna be based in that false identity, and it's always gonna create, an
yeah.
agenda of control and cultism.
Wow. So kind of like what I hear you saying is it's almost like we're only as smart as our weakest link. And, the consciousness that we're bringing to the organization is, of course, going to be what's running the organization. So
Absolutely.
unless we
And
all
it
do enough personal work, we can't even really participate in the governance of the future because it's like putting a second grader in like a college class, right?
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that what I'm getting?
yeah, and there's,
That's kind of scary though, because we all have to wait for the weakest link to catch up.
well, no, we
What are
have
the
to
odds that's going to work out?
we have to again, as you said, we're
Right.
responsible for ourselves. That's
Right.
all we can do. But I do feel that people can reach a place of internal sovereignty when they're not looking to be fulfilled by other people or directed by other people.
Yeah.
What happens when sovereign people come together and want
Yes.
to cooperate and build something together?
Yes.
That's a whole different story. It's a whole different perspective with
Mm.
a whole different outcome.
Yeah. And
But
it seeds the resonance of everything that it comes into contact with.
right, it does. It
Yeah.
does. And
Yeah.
there is a natural, we've lost. Talk to indigenous people. They talk about is how much we've lost, right? With this technological mm, machine-based civilization.
Mhm.
We actually know how to be with people, but we've lost it, and there has been an intentional agenda to separate us from what is natural and true.
Mhm. Yeah. So doing our work clearing our trauma, creating from a point of dedication to our self liberation,
Yes.
listening to and imbibing works that inspire us and that bring us to a more exalted, more, beautiful space. And I love that your particular art in this form is really not just, like we were saying, something pretty that you can put on your fridge or you can hang it in your living room. It's really actually deeply encoded with, the messages of healing, or the tools for healing or transcendence.
Right.
And the
And
more that we kind of like look at art from that perspective, the more we can invite that into our space.
it takes a minute. Early on, Bonnie wrote an article called The Yoga of Seeing. And
Mm.
she was describing that there is a yoga of
Mhm.
interacting with transformational art. It's
Wow.
not just like, flipping through Instagram on your phone. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, I haven't seen that before.
Mm.
No, you actually take a minute, you breathe, you connect,
Yeah.
you get centered, and you begin to notice how it's affecting you.
Yes.
And I found that, with the art that I create, it takes a few minutes to really get into the field and allow it to work in your system and through you and
Yes.
reveal to you what it can reveal.
Oh, absolutely.
And sometimes you need to listen, because there will be information that comes through, there will be
Right.
inspiration that comes through.
Right.
So it truly transformational art is multidimensional.
Mhm.
And therefore, we have to be in a multidimensional frame of being to fully receive what it can communicate to you.
Yeah.
And that takes a minute.
Yeah.
You have to show up and become present
Right.
and give the experience enough time.
Mhm.
And what I found is that if you do that, if you spend enough, doesn't it's not like hours, but
Right.
once you spend a few minutes and really allow yourself to be open and connected,
Mhm.
that the effect of that will last for hours, if not days.
Yeah.
It's like taking the medicine into the body, and then it begins to do its work, and the healing, and the opening, and the clearing.
Mhm.
It's a whole process that goes on when you really allow yourself to interact
Right.
with everything that you're being exposed to.
Absolutely. It's like the slow food movement. It's slow art.
Very much that.
I love it. And when
Take a minute.
yeah, take a minute. And when I've had the privilege to go to like an art museum, like the Met
Mhm.
in New York, I mean, it's fun to go and like again, you're just taking your time. You're going so slow and you're going from piece to piece. And you're not like, okay, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool.
Yeah,
You're like you go in front of a piece and you just allow it, like you said, allow it to sink in, allow it to inform you, allow it to
yeah,
communicate with you.
yeah,
Rather than like, that's pretty. I don't like that. What's up with
yeah,
that? And
yeah.
I think some people really understand and like have exposure to that kind of culture.
Mhm.
And then a lot of the young ones, they mostly have only seen art on their phones and their
Yep.
computers. So it's like a very fast thing. So bringing it into slow art. And that's also what I love about the cards. Like when I'm
Mhm.
reading tarot or I'm reading some of my other oracle decks, it's like really taking a moment to like sit with and be with that and
Yes.
let it give you its information. And
Yeah,
I like to do a reading, some people want to do a reading like every day. And I think
yeah.
sometimes that can be good, but sometimes I'll get a reading and I sit with it for a good long while
Mhm.
until I feel like I've really metabolized it, and
Mhm.
really let it inform me.
Mhm. Yeah,
And the same with music. Sometimes
absolutely. I was just thinking that.
I'll listen to a piece on repeat because I'm like, I need to get this. When I was younger
Yeah.
and I lived with my family, they would always make fun of me and they'd be like, "Oh my God, you're listening to that again?" And I was like, I have to get it.
Right.
I'm gonna take it in as much as I need to so that I can really be with it. And
Yeah.
there's something so precious about that.
Yeah, and to have a good pair of headphones and just
Yeah,
really be focused,
yeah.
close your
Oh,
eyes,
playback
put
is
on those
essential.
headphones, and go into where the music wants to take you. That's
Playback
very
is
different
essential.
than, a pop song on the radio in the car.
Yeah, right.
So it's again, yoga is every moment of your life, how are you interacting with what's around you and with
Mhm.
people and what you're exposed to? How deep are you going?
Yeah.
Uh, you know,
Yeah,
that
the art of
the art
living
of
a good
living,
life.
exactly.
I'm totally with you, and making your art, your life, a work of art,
Right.
is what I'm all about. And what does that look like? What does that sound like? What is it? And it's again, like you're saying, bringing mindfulness to every moment that you can
Hmm.
to
Yep.
make it a beautiful moment,
That's right.
to make it something impactful. But I think there's a nice little switch that we're talking about today, which is switching on to like, oh no, I'm going to take in this art or this music or this piece or this view
Right.
as a healing antidote,
Yes.
right? Coming at it from like this view of the Western mountains that I get to look at right now is actually healing my heart and asking for it. So let's kind of wrap up with your own spiritual practice with your art. Like what is that? How has that evolved for you? Tell me where you're kind of at with that in your life now.
Well, there are sort of two different ways that I interact with what I create. I have You can't see it in my office. Maybe we'll post some photos, but I have some big prints on the walls, right? So I'm always noticing them, I'm always seeing them, but what I found early on was putting the print in the room changes the energy of the room.
Right.
So if I come into this room, whether I even notice the art or not,
Mhm.
I'm coming into a field of energy that is supporting me,
Yeah.
that is healing, that is connecting me to, my multidimensional nature.
Right.
So it's, the art on the wall, we look at it, it's big, it's impactful, but it doesn't just impact us when we look at it, it impacts the room all the time. That's one way I interact with it. Then there are smaller pieces that I print as tools, and I will be guided, which of these tools do I need to connect to today? Which kind of healing process does my body system need today?
Mhm.
And I will choose that tool and I will work with that tool. And there are different ways that I've, been guided to work with them. One of the ways I work with them is I will I have found a way to transfer the energy and information in the tool into water. And
Mm.
sometimes I'll make an elixir and I'll drink that elixir
Mm.
as another way of just taking it in, letting it meld with my cells.
So like taking the image and putting the water on it
Yep,
and letting it infuse for a
yep,
certain amount of time.
yep,
That's
yep,
so cool.
yep. So sometimes, it's very intentional, what do I need today?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just I'm in the environment and, people come to our house and go, wow, this place feels really good.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah. My
There's a reason
husband's
for
like that
that.
too.
That's the art on the wall.
Yeah, people come into our house and they're like, "Wow,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
something going
And it
on."
makes such a huge difference. A message we got early on, which was if you want to help people evolve, change their environment.
Hmm.
Because that's how we have evolved as a species, like
Yeah.
the environment changes and we change as a result of that.
Oh, totally. It's like stepping into a spa where it's just the
Exactly.
right temperature and they've got the sounds and it's all set up, or stepping into a church. I mean, just
Yep.
to throw it back to the Piscean era, I mean, because as you know, and I'm sure so many people listening to this are familiar with, but like the geometry that the Rosicrucians built into the cathedrals and the
Right.
churches of the Renaissance, I mean, that was very specific. It was prayer made manifest, it was the prayer
Right.
of the temple.
Yes.
And so, just even stepping into that space, not only are you aware of the fact that you are headed into a sacred place, but then of course the way that everything is constructed really exalts all that prayers. And I feel like now coming into this new era, you don't have to go to a cathedral in Italy. I mean, you can and you should, right? And um your own space can be that, your own home can be that, your own
Yeah.
everything, right? It's like we're
Yes.
remembering that oh, this sacred hallowed moment is here
Yeah.
in every moment.
Yes.
I don't
And
need
there
to
are
look for
there are
something.
there are places on the earth that are cathedrals. You know, one of my favorite places is a redwood grove called Stout Grove in Northern California.
That's where I was married.
I have a huge print of Stout Grove on my wall here.
No, 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 David. That's where
Yes,
we were married in Stout Grove.
I know.
Ah!
So,
To be continued.
yes. So, you
Oh,
know, I create art from that place in particular so that people can experience that wherever they are
yes,
and bring that sacred cathedral energy
yes.
into their home.
Oh, I know, because they're just, the redwoods, of course. I mean, all trees,
Yes.
but the redwoods, of course, carry their own particular resonance, their own memory. The fact that they're one of the more ancient families of trees. I mean, there's just like so much magic in that particular.
We'll do a whole episode on the redwoods.
I think we should, and then we can put the overlay of like some of your art, and then my wedding photograph.
That'd be great.
That is so cool. Oh, I love that. Yeah, so okay, but just I like to end on like a practical,
Mhm.
somebody could do this today, right now, right?
Right.
Like something that they're inspired to, like, of course, bringing art and spirituality together and marrying the two in this now moment can be, and I'd love to hear what you think. It can be as small of a gesture as just acknowledging that that is so.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
then there's also ways, like, what would you say for someone who's maybe not familiar with necessarily creating art as healing or whatever? Like, what are your insights for someone who's excited to sort of sanctify their heart and their space uh, today in this moment?
Well, I think part of it is making the connection between your deep experience of your deepest self, however you might do that through meditation or yoga or some kind of intentional practice,
Hmm.
making the connection between that deepest part of yourself and whatever it is you create, whether it's making a meal or a piece of art or a piece of music. You know, we all have creativity and it can come from the mind and it can be clever and it can be, you know, idea based. But when it's heart based, when it's based in your being, then it gets imbued with that spiritual energy of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you create spiritually and powerful art. But again, it can be just arranging, you know, the objects on your desk or in your room with a sense of how do these energies and objects want to, how can they reflect this deeper part of myself? So
Mm-hmm.
first you connect with your deeper self, right?
Right.
And then how does that get expressed in a creative way today?
Yeah, I love that. To be continued. There's so many good tendrils. One,
Yeah.
would be, because another conversation I'm excited to have with you is around, how do we know if this is my intuition, if this is my
Hmm.
gut, if this is my
Hmm.
mind, speaking about divination and some
Yeah.
further conversations that we can have around accessing spirit, accessing our guides. Because I think, a lot of people, and probably not that many people who are going to listen to this, but I think a lot of people in the world they just have absolutely zero remembrance of,
Hmm.
that they do have a higher or a deeper self, and that higher
Right.
or deeper self is available to them, and what
Yes.
might be the ways to get into communication. So I
Yeah.
think there's some really good stuff there, just in order to even just like bring in that sense of communion, that therefore informs what we're up to next.
Right.
Yeah, that's
To
gonna
be continued.
to be continued, my friend. Yay, David, thanks.
Thank you. This has been fun.
So fun. Yeah. Art, spirituality, healing, evolution, embodiment, Mama Gaia, remembering our origins and also what we're capable of. These are all the conversations that I love having, and I especially love having them with you, David. You're
Great. Likewise.
a true mentor and elder, and I'm grateful for you in my life.
Thank you, Abe. You too.